How you doing? My name is Stephen Cologne. I'm a combat veteran, United States Marine Corps. I served from 1980 to 1984. I'm a Beirut vet. I grew up in a good home, wasn't rich, but we always had a meal at night. We always ate good. The house was clean. I had good, clean clothes all the time. So I grew up like in a ghetto area, but we weren't really, that poor or anything, because my father was a hard-working man. I had a chance for a scholarship to go to Long Island University, but in high school, I started hanging out with the wrong people. I remember my mother used to always have this saying that you hang around with 9 clowns, you're gonna become the 10th one. And I ended up getting in trouble. And although I was a straight A student, I was kicked out of high school. Once I got my GED, when I turned 17 in June of 1980, I got my GED. I was thinking about staying there, but then I saw a recruiter in the Marine Corps, and I always had a sense of pride for this country, And when I saw that Marine Corps uniform, I was like, yo, that's a bad-looking mother right there. So I joined the Marines. Always wanted to join the service, but I joined the Marines. I was always taught if you're gonna do something, do it the best you can. That's something that always stuck in my mind from my father. Do the best you can. I had just turned 17 in June. I joined in July, right? So when I got to boot camp, and I smiled and I laughed at everything, and they started calling me Private Smiley because I found everything funny. And he said, we're gonna get that smile off your face. And they would get down and do push-ups. And at first, I ain't never really did a lot of push-ups. I couldn't do too much. But he said, either I'm gonna wipe that smile off your face, or you're gonna be the strongest guy to ever, lead this boot camp. In the Marine boot camp ain't like the other branches where you get liberty on the weekends and all that. I was there for 3 months, right? And, boot camp for the Marines is 12 to 13 weeks. It's longer than the other branches. We have a slogan. Many were called, few were chosen. Those few that were chosen, those many called Marines. But when I left boot camp and I went to infantry school, and I started really learning about infantry things, as far as they're preparing us to go to a war. What they used to say, what was it? To prepare you to defend our country in a war that we hope would never happen. I didn't think we would go to war, but I trained as if I was going. When we were sent to Beirut, it wasn't like guys going to Afghanistan and all that now, because they have what they call congressional approval. Before you can send troops over to a war-torn country in a combat zone, Congress and the Senate has to approve it. But the Marine Corps doesn't have to be approved by Congress and the Senate. They're what they call the president's own. The president, if he feels that some country is in danger or they need help or something, he could send a Marine unit in there up to 6 months. I remember one day, me and my boy Tom, we're in a bunker one day and we're being shot at. And after they're done firing at us, I'm on the other side. Yo, Tom, you all right? Tom, you all right? He didn't answer me. So I said, oh man, I hope they didn't shoot him or something, man. I went over, and when I moved him, his face was gone, man. And I looked, and the whole side of his face was gone. He got hit with an explosion. It almost took his whole head off, but a little part was left. And I remember looking at him like, yo, Tom, man. I started crying a little. And I was like, what the fuck am I gonna do? And I got real scared. I spent my 20th birthday in Beirut, Lebanon. Imagine turning 19 or 20, and you fight for your life. You don't even know if you're gonna make it to 20 years old. It was a scary feeling, man, to go through that every day. We went on ship one day to go do laundry, and as we wait for the helicopters to bring us back, we hear a big boom. We see smoke rise. We're like, what the f? But we used to that. Buildings get blown up every day. They blew up our headquarters building. And I was living in there. Had I not changed with one of my fellow comrades, fellow Marines, he was scheduled to go do laundry, but he didn't feel good. That dirty laundry actually saved my life because everybody was in the building that was physically inside the building died. Then I remember going there, and after experiencing all of this, we had to go dig out bodies. But we weren't just digging for bodies, we were digging for our brothers, man. Imagine someone, you stood up at his wedding, or you went to his wedding, you met his wife and his children, and now you're digging a body and his arm is gone, his head is over there, you gotta. And you know, when they blew up the building, they didn't even know that we had switched. So they had me down that I was in the building. And they actually was sending people to my family to tell my family I died. I remember when I came home in November, it was like November, they brought us back. And, you know, more than a month after the bombing, I got to my father's house on Evergreen in Bushwick. And I remember as I was ringing the bell, a car went by, the car backfired. And I jumped like that. Then I realized, yo, there's something wrong with me, man. And I couldn't talk to my family about it because I didn't think any of them would understand, right? I didn't want them to think I was crazy. And I remember seeing guys from Vietnam that that had those problems. But when I got out, they gave me an other than honorable discharge because I fought with them after. I didn't give a no more. I'm tired of the racist. Get the fuck out of here. You know, you. Of course, I gave up that fight because in my head, something was going wrong. And then when I came home, I went to the VA to try to get some help because I knew something was wrong in my mind, in my brain. And they told me, you got an other than honorable discharge. You're not eligible to see anybody. I was like, hold up. Y'all sent me to war. And the war my head up. And I can't talk to you about it. They said no. I had nobody to talk to. I was going through, which I know now has been diagnosed, that I had PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. I had survivor's remorse because why did Sundar and Tom and Handsome and Chief and all them, why did they get killed and I was able to live? And that with me for a long time. And it still with me. I couldn't deal with it and I started drinking, which I never did before, to self-medicate, to be able to go to sleep. But I ended up going to prison for 18 years. But while in prison, they had a lady that came to speak to us. You know, I used to join the veteran groups to try to get some understanding. And she said, we have what's called a Veterans Residential Therapeutic Program at Mount McGregor that is veterans that you could come over there. And it was a 6-month program. I actually ended up staying 18 months because I really needed help. I spoke to the psychiatrist for the first time, and this is 20-something years after I got out the service. So for 20 years, I suffered. I lost the best woman I ever had in my life. They gave me 2 daughters, love of my life. I ended up losing my freedom by going to jail. A lot of my friends, because I was getting high and I started doing dumb drinking and getting high. When I came home from prison, they had what they call group parole, where All the parolees meet at one central place rather than go to parole office, and they have like 4 or 5 parole officers there. So the first time I went there, the black vets for group parole, the CEO, Miss McClellan, she said, "Are there any veterans here in the group?" So I raised my hand. I'm a vet. So you the only one? She said, "Well, thank you for your service, first of all." You know, she explained she was a veteran in the Army and this and that, how much time she did. So I spoke to 2 counselors there, Barry Simpson, who unfortunately passed away, and Kevin Megan, which to this day, me and him are best of friends. He told me he saw something in me that he felt my story being told to other veterans would help them. I said, "What you mean?" He said, "I got a job interview for you tomorrow." But they got me a job interview there, black vets, and I've been there now 8.5 years.